Hello, everybody. Welcome to the Gold Within You Summit, where we are learning about releasing our money blocks, elevating our wealth consciousness, and attracting money like crazy. I put this together for you so you can learn how to make some shifts and adjustments and get to the life of your dreams and discover the gold within you. And today I have an expert who I'm so excited about. His name is Rex Sikes, and I'm just so thrilled. I don't even know where to start. So let me just tell you about him. He's got 4 decades of experience helping thousands of people with their mindsets and their lives. He is a master trainer of NLP and DHE, and he's the founder of the Idea Seminars. He's done all kinds of mind design and directed questions works. So he presents his seminars in professional and public and corporate arenas, and he's got full workshops, training events, private coaching. He does it all. He mentors professionals and newcomers in those fields, and he's a keynote speaker on the power of your mind to get your goals. And to increase your bottom line and make your dreams come true. So he's also an actor. He works he's appeared before millions in films, television, radios, interview, commentary, and he's behind the scenes too in the producing and just all levels of the film industry. So you really are a multifaceted individual, Rex, and I think I told you before, I've listened to a lot of since I've been introduced to your work, I've been listening to a lot of your stuff, and it's and I just love it. And part of it is because I have the same sort of background and training in what you're teaching, and so it just fills me up because it's such, you've said in 1 hour what it's taken 3 days for someone else to describe. So so I love that about you, and I'm so thrilled for you to be here. Welcome.
Well, thanks for having me on, and thank you so much for the kind introduction and for your energy and enthusiasm.
Yeah.
I really appreciate all of it, and it's exciting, and I've been very eager to be able to talk with you, and so thank you. And the more I learn about you, the more fascinated and thrilled I am. So I really, really thank you for today.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I love connecting and coming together. So, all right, well, let's get into it. So
Sure.
Thank you so much. So what I'm asking all of my experts is if you can identify a time in your life or when you discovered that you had some sort of a block, a money block, some sort of something that you had to really look at and release. And once you did, then everything opened up for you. So can you talk to us a little bit about that personally for you?
Absolutely. I was lucky. I was brought up with parents who wanted to expose me to lots of different things. That's how I got into acting and everything else. What the one thing, and they were doctors and they were well off, but their mindset around money was there's never enough, you have to save, there's always a rainy day, if things go wrong, it was catastrophic thinking. And I grew up with that. So as a young actor in Hollywood, I wanted to buy my parents a home and I wanted to prove that I was successful. I didn't know how. And I focused too much on, well, how do I do this? And living in Hollywood, when I was 18, I moved into Columbia Studios soundstage #1 on Sunset and Gower in Hollywood. So I actually lived where they shot the Three Stooges shorts, and we had reconfigured it to have living space, and we were making movies there. But I would leave the studio every day. I would walk out to Hollywood Boulevard. There'd be drug addicts and alcoholics and pimps and you name what, prostitutes, whatever. And I would walk into Beverly Hills or take a bus to Beverly Hills, and I would then end up sipping wine and champagne and, partying around the pool with very wealthy people. I had this weird lifestyle where I was surrounded by rich people and surrounded by poor people. And what I discovered was they both had problems.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
One was trying to survive and the other was trying to make their money and hang on to it more than anything else. Oh. And yet the difference between the two were these people were living at gut level, in the street, trying to make hand to fist, trying to make ends meet, have enough money to have some food. And these people were out buying things and having parties and spending their money. And the difference in the mindset was the richer the people were, the more they focused on solutions. They didn't worry about, apart from losing their money, they didn't really worry about things. They were like, I can afford it. I can do it. I'm blessed. I'm lucky. I made my money, whatever it was. They seemed to be secure and comfortable in what they had. Whereas the other people were always struggling to try and get something they didn't have. And when I began to look at that, which was a daily process for me, because then I'd go back through Hollywood, go back through all these people, but go back into my soundstage and go, well, how come my life, I'm like in between these. I'm not rich and I'm not poor. There was a time when I had 2 nickels literally 2 nickels in my pocket for like 2 or 3 months. I had no money, but 2 nickels, and I refused to spend them because I didn't want to be completely broke.
Mm-hmm.
And what happened for me was I went, I'm never, ever going to be an owner of one of these homes or be successful like they are if I don't begin to adopt and think like they do. And I was lucky. I was 11 years old. I had read Napoleon Hill. I had gotten into hypnosis and meditation, and I read the Bhagavad Gita, and I was doing all these things. And now I'm 18, and I realized I hadn't been really practicing any of it.
Mm-hmm.
So I went back into it and started to really imbibe it and find out what it meant. At the time I was 25, I had a life crisis, totally derailed me for about 18 months. I had amnesia for a long period of time.
Wow.
I had been misprescribed some medication by a doctor who, instead of killing me, almost made me a vegetable for the rest of my life. But through that, I'm blessed. I am blessed. You know what I decided? I mean, I've had so many near calls of death that I went, you know what? I am supposed to be here. I've gone through the fire, and I am here, and I have a mission. And here's what my mission is: it's to help other people find and live their lives as successfully and happily as they can. And when I went through my 25-year-old crisis is when I discovered the power of asking myself certain questions and the true power of mindset, and how solution-focused thinking is what we need. You can't focus on lack. You know this. You can't focus on poverty. You can't focus on your problems. You got to focus on what you have and be grateful for it, because that opens the doors to having much, much more. And that was a transformation that began in me about a quarter, of a century in, that really made a profound difference. And then I could look back on those Hollywood days and go, well, you know what? I see it's the people who struggled. I also knew some people who had nothing, but were tremendously happy. And then I did know those people who were tremendously successful and rich, who were tremendously sad. And I had one millionaire come to me about a decade ago and say, I lucked into my money. I made a fortune. I am on the top of my game. And at the end of the day, I'm still me, and me is who I'm not happy with. Mm. And so what we do in here and what we do in our heart is where the transformation occurs. And any one of your viewers, listeners can make that change, as you well know.
Yes, I do. And Napoleon Hill, for those of you, I'm sure most of you know who that is. He wrote a book called Think and Grow Rich. And that's amazing that you were exposed to that so young.
And this one, The Laws of Success, it'll probably read backwards, but it's The Laws of Success. And Think and Grow Rich, sorry.
Yes, and he was an amazing thought leader. And I know Bob Proctor carries that one in his pocket too, right? So
yeah, indeed.
So if you haven't read it, get it for sure. Get into that. So being in Hollywood, I mean, so when we talk about money, like when I started really, I mean, I was even conflicted going into, I didn't want to focus on money, because it just seemed so like, but it's not the money, but there's nothing wrong with money. Like I had to constantly remind, there's nothing wrong with money. You can do philanthropy. You can have liberty and be with your family. I can travel and explore. There's all kinds of stuff you can do when you have it. So can you talk about that, about like the energy of money? Because if you've been in Hollywood where there is a lot of it, like how does that, you've spoken a little bit about it, but can you go into that a little bit more?
Well, people get confused with that biblical saying, money is the root of evil, that kind of thing. And it's not. It's the love of money is the root of all evil. There is nothing wrong with money. Money is just an energy. It's a form of exchange. It's an idea more than anything else. And our ideas and our thoughts and our beliefs about this energy, about money, are what determine whether we have it or not. The law of attraction, or what Napoleon Hill says, if you concentrate, if you think on, what you want to do and be successful at, if you can conceive it, then you can imagine it, and you have to believe it, and then you can achieve it. So there's literally a process for this. What I learned was that I wanted to be able to design my life so I could do what I want, when I wanted, where I wanted, with whom I wanted, and that's how I've lived most of my life. And so I also learned that it wasn't about things. Napoleon Hill says that in order to succeed, you have to have a burning desire. It's got to be a white hot burning desire. You have to be passionate. You have to believe in it. You have to make it a certainty. You have to act and think as if you have it, and then do everything and never quit. And in every adversity, there is a seed of learning and equal opportunity, and to understand that, just keep going. You know, we call it a champion lifestyle or victor mentality, you know, a warrior spirit. But what Napoleon Hill said at the end of his life was very telling. And he said, I modeled the 520 people who were successful, and out of them, I spent time with them and their wives and their children, and all but one of them was completely screwed up. The one person who wasn't screwed up said he realized it wasn't about money. It was about peace and balance. It was about having a happy lifestyle. So the rest either ended up losing their money, or they ended up committing suicide, or they were sick, or their kids were screwed up, or something was wrong. Not all of them, but that the pursuit of money for money's sake was the problem. What money allows you to do, if you're not tied up in things, and it's fine to have things, but if you're not tied up in things, because Hill said, I needed the Rolls Royces and I needed all these things, but then I realized what money really allowed me to do was to reach out around the world and help people. And the more people you help, the more people can help you. And the more you are helped, and the more generous you are, the more you get back. And so for me, in order to design the kind of lifestyle I wanted, it wasn't about the money and it wasn't about the things. It was, what can I do with this energy that allows me to live how I want? And I found that was by helping other people learn to live how they wanted. And if that meant they wanted a new car, help them get a new car, if that's what's important to them. If that means, you know, having a house or a career or a job or more cash or the freedom to enjoy these things or more leisure or more time, because you never get your time back, you know, are the important things. So I don't know if I've answered your question.
Yeah, you have. We've gone around, but I have one more for you. No, that's perfect.
I tend to loop. I mean, what I tend to do is I tend to make a tapestry, and then later start pulling the threads together. So we may or may not have time to pull the threads together, but I do weave a tapestry.
Yeah, well, no, it's beautiful. I know. I told you I could listen to you forever. The one thing I loved like that you addressed is that just actually talking about the physics of the brain. Like there is, we are carving neural pathways. We are forming new habits. So things seem like a struggle, you know, when we identify them. One thing I like to say about like my money mindset, I noticed is that it's like whack-a-mole, right? So I'm like, I'm going to do this, I'm going to do this, I'm going to do this. And then I get to the edge of doing that. And then my thing pops up and says, oh no, that's not safe. That's not how we do it. And then I don't do the thing. And then I'm like, wait a minute, I was going to do the thing. I had the plan, you know? So there's this like whack-a-mole that comes up that I'm constantly like, get back here. That's not what we want. But there's a subconscious thought process. Can you speak to that a little bit?
I would love to. And it's what was going on with me growing up with the conditioning that I got, the mindset that we all inherit. We inherit from the people around us, especially at an early age, but that becomes chronic. It becomes spiritual thinking. It becomes the neural pathways. And when you think of neural pathways or how your brain works, it's really no different than if you walk in the grass. If you keep walking the same way in the grass every day, you'll leave a path. You create one. You can literally wear the grass out with it, just a dirt pathway. And that's what happens with the brain. We're repeatedly exposed to concepts, experiences, feelings, and emotions, both positive and not so positive, while we're being brought up. We're told you can't have that. You must share. It's not good to do this. We get these messages and we internalize them. We don't even know that we're getting them. We just internalize them. We are parrots. And years ago, before they had computers like they do today, you know, when they had the vacuum tubes and flashy bulbs, they followed students around to determine how much of their day was spent in routine, habitual patterns, as opposed to how much free will or choice they had. And they determined that people were 95 to 99% on automatic. They went to school the same way. They left their classes. They had the same discussions. They found one gentleman who they studied. He had a routine vocabulary of 400 words. The average first grader has a vocabulary of about 600 words. That means you could go, whoa, and yeah. it doesn't mean that they didn't understand more, that they couldn't have conversations. But the point of the study was to say, we live today like we lived yesterday, and the day before that, and the day before that, from birth on. Yes, experiences change. And think about it. Most of the same things are the things that get us angry. Like, consider driving. You're on the freeway. What pisses you off as a driver? Somebody cuts you off. Somebody's too slow. Somebody's too fast. Somebody's in your lane. You've got to get. These things happen on a daily basis. And until we learn and recognize that, hey, you know what? These are triggers. These are chronic, reliable, automatic conditioned behaviors that go off because our buttons are pushed or for whatever reason. Until we recognize that and do something to alter it, we will always keep doing it. We have, by estimates, I used to talk about this in the 80s, we have by estimates 60 to 65,000 thoughts a day. And upwards of 90% of those thoughts are the ones we thought yesterday.
Wow, that's a lot.
Yeah, we're not thinking a whole lot of, but I mean, think about it. What are most people thinking about? They're thinking about their bills, their family, unless something catastrophically wonderful or catastrophically terrible comes along. And then guess what? The same programs fire off. But unless something really upsets the standard of what's going on, pretty much on automatic. We get angry the same way. We typically about the same things. We get horny the same way. We get loving the same way. We get thrilled the same way, and about typically the same things. Now, we're not just robots, and there's bad and good news to this. The good news is that all these chronic habitual conditionings and limiting beliefs and bad feelings we have about things and money, they are reliable, they're automatic, and they're yours, right? And mine. But because they are, and because we were able to do that and master that, we can change them. And then we can learn not only to change them, but we can master new habits. The question that I always have for people in my blog today is what I'm doing or what I'm thinking, what I'm feeling, what I'm behaving supportive of me or not supportive of me? Does this habit serve me or not serve me? Does my anger in this situation support what I want, or does it detract from what I want? The point, the point is most of us just do. And we don't think about it. Am I getting closer to my goal or am I getting further away? And the chronic old habitual conditioning is the stuff we have to change. That's where you hear, if you always do what you always did, you always get what you always got. And the definition of insanity is?
Same thing over and over again, expecting a different result.
And that's where most of us live. And by the way, this isn't bad. I mean, this is how most of us live. And so if we want to begin to get the things that we want to get and live the lives of our own design and have a great relationship and get out of poverty and out of lack and out of, not having what we want, then we have to change some things about what we do. We have to stop. We have to become aware. We have to recognize that we're operating from an old, outdated program and then deliberately decide to change it. And when you deliberately decide to change it, that decision is life-changing. That is the transformational moment that you have. I don't want to do this anymore. Even getting angry about it. When people go, I am so mad. Howard Beale, was that the name from Network? Said, go to the window and yell, I'm mad as hell and I won't take it anymore.
Yeah.
That energy can change you. Because when you finally had enough of the old way, you'll start living a new way. And to simplify it is, if you're driving and you want to come to Milwaukee and you realize, oh my gosh, I'm going to Canada, you have to stop and turn around and then aim at where you want to go and then go in that direction. And that's what we do. And when you continue to do that, you lay down new neural pathways. You build in new habits. And the quickest way to build in the new habits is to feel good about the new things. Do not feel bad about the old things, because that just reinforces it. Feel good about everything. Everything is a blessing. Be grateful for all, and your life can change. It sounds like a huge promise, but it really is very simple, because it's just a little step at a time. And it all begins with a decision that you make to go, does this support me? No? Okay, then I'm going to do something different. I'm going to do something that supports me. I'm going to do something that moves me toward what I want. I'm going to feel good now. Okay.
I love that. I love being curious about that, about, asking those questions. And it's very, one of the habits I've noticed is that we get into like blame and shame and
Yeah.
just being curious about it, just asking, is this serving me? Yes or no? And then switch.
Well, I think of it this way. You're either living or dying. There's either positive or negative. I mean, we know there's hot or cold or big or small. It's, I mean, we divide the world where there's day and night. I mean, so I go, is it supportive or not supportive? Is it positive? Is it negative? Am I living or am I dying? Am I thriving or am I decaying? I mean, those are kind of the options that if you keep in the forefront of your brain at any given, I'm having an argument with somebody I absolutely love. Is this getting me closer to what I want? What is it that I want? What is it that I want? Well, I want the person to feel loved at all times. I want to feel loved at all times. So what do I need to change? If I blame and excuse and whine and put it all on that person, or if I go, I'm a bad puppy and I'll never learn and it sucks, then that doesn't do anything. But if I go, wow, you know what? I want in this moment while we're having this argument, in my head, I stop and I go, I really want this person to know that they're loved right now. Then I need to change the outer behavior and what I say and what I feel and what I think so that they can know that. If I go, I really want to feel loved right now, not to the exclusion of anybody, but to include them, then what do I need to change? I got to do something different. And the key is never to expect anyone to change for you, because they may or may not, but never put it on them.
Right.
It's kind of like you get dressed in the morning. You may dress your children, but the point is you still have to dress yourself as an adult. And so you have to make the changes inside yourself, or we have to make the changes inside ourselves in order to get what it is that we want to have more of. And we can have anything we want.
Yeah. And that could include, loving yourself, I think, enough to, if you're in a job or you're in a business and it's running you instead of you, running your life. Cause I think that happens with a lot of people, even entrepreneurs. They're stuck in it, right? Their job, they basically have a job because they're so stuck in it. Yeah, they love that.
Well, here's something I really want to drive home for your viewers, for your listeners, for your people, my people, and people around the world. It's really, truly simple. And if you keep it simple, because don't get caught up in how, don't get caught up in, all the little details. It's like what I do every morning is I get up and go, I love my life. I'm so glad that I'm alive. And when crap hits the fan, I go, okay, this is exactly what it's supposed to be. Sometimes I get hooked and I get into it, but as soon as I realize, oh wow, this is perfect. This is life giving me something that I, even no matter how bad it is, it's there for my good.
Right.
Is that true? I don't know. It doesn't matter. It's kind of like people go, I'm supposed to believe it. No, it's a mindset that I use that says everything is a blessing. And when I understand it, so I wake up in the morning and go, wow, I love my life. This is, I'm exactly where I'm supposed to be. And I begin to practice gratitude and say, thank you for the people around me. And thank you for the problems I have. Thank you for my past. Thank you for all these issues that I've had, because all of it, because you can look back and connect the dots. It's just hard to look forward and connect the dots. So unexpected good is coming my way. I always land on my feet. I'm a creator. I'm a decider. So money, if I need it, I'll have it. I don't know where it's coming from. I don't know how I'm going to get it. It's just going to show up at the right time because it's energy. And that is the energy. That is the good vibes. That is the mindset, the feelings you want to live from, because you attract what you think about. You manufacture or create what you think about. So if you think, I really want to be rich, I want to have X amount of dollars, but I'm so far away from that, and you notice the gulf between being rich and where you are, then you create more of the gulf. You don't create more of the wealth. What you got to do is get onto the wealth side and go, I'm so lucky for what I have. It's so totally incredible what I have. It opens up for more, and you'll figure it out. There's a great saying. I love it. It's you go as far as you can see, and when you get there, you can see farther.
That's awesome.
Yeah. Don't try and figure it out today. Don't figure out what steps you have to take. Don't do it. The Wright brothers, and this is something I harp on a lot. Wright brothers didn't know how to fly until after they flew. They were experimenting, but they didn't know what would work. And then once it worked, they went, oh my God, this worked. Let's do more of that. Thomas Edison, 10,000 trials with a light bulb, was experimenting until he correctly got one to light and last. And then he went, oh, now I know how to make light bulbs work. It's after you know what I mean? You don't figure it out before you do it. It's only after you got it, you can look back and go, oh, this is what I did. So don't try and figure it out in advance. Enjoy the journey, enjoy the ride. Am I going to have fun when I get to Miami? Well, hope so, intend so, on a vacation, be eager about it, but you don't know. When you're in Miami, you can look back and go, wow, I had this marvelous time. They're limited analogies, of course, but
right.
But its attitude is everything.
And the feeling behind it too, I think that's something that the law of attraction gets a kind of a bad rap, because it's like, oh, just think about it and it happens for me. But it's the thought, it's the energy, like you're saying, behind the thought, I'm
yes.
really excited about this, or, that's the transformational part of the law of attraction.
It is amazing in that here, what Napoleon Hill was laid out also 2,000, 4,000, in early recorded history. You can go back to Aristotle, you can go back to the Vedas, you can go back to the ancient Chinese, and you can find all of this stuff through all the religious texts and all the thought, leaders of all the world of all time pretty much say the same thing. Everything begins with the thought. This computer didn't get here on its own. Somebody thought about it. They then did at some point develop a plan for getting it, but they were convinced that they could make it. They tried until they did it, like Edison. So it's the thought and the feelings. How can you tell if you're thinking crappy thoughts? You're feeling crappy. Mm-hmm. How can you tell you're thinking good thoughts? You're feeling good. Mm-hmm. So the easiest way to control your thinking is to make it a point of just feeling good. Because if you're feeling good, you'll be thinking good. Because if you think a negative thought and you have a bad feeling, that bad feeling then produces the next negative thought. That negative thought then produces the next negative feeling, and so people tend to spiral down. If you think a positive thought, then you feel good, then that feeling good produces the next positive thought, and you spiral up. Thought, feeling leads to your behaviors or actions. The right behaviors and actions, meaning when you're feeling really good, you're in touch with yourself, you're aligned with yourself, your energy's vibrating high, you feel wonderful, you're more apt to pay attention to your own intuition. And also, going back to the brain thing, the reticular activating system in our brain, which I know you're familiar with, is that parts of the brain, part of the amygdala, but parts of the brain that literally look for a match in your experience. So I won't get into the whole science behind it, but just suffice to say that if you get up in the morning and you look for frowns, you'll find them. That's what your brain is designed to do. It's based on your intention. If you get up in the morning wanting to look for smiles, you'll find them. Does that mean you'll not ever encounter a frown? Of course not. You may. But if your focus is on the smiles, you're going to find more of those. So the reticular activating system, the RAS, what that does is it looks literally, if you're feeling I'm on top of the world, things are going well, there's great opportunity out there, it will find those in the same way that if today you buy a yellow car, because now yellow is a popular color, you'll start seeing yellow cars all over the place. If you buy a particular brand of shoes, you'll find those shoes all over the place. We all have this experience. When something's important to us, we suddenly start to notice it. Yeah. Thoughts, feelings, right actions determine our results. So if you're feeling good and thinking good, you'll do the right things that get you the things that you want. It's so simple. And everybody tends to complicate it. Why? Because they were conditioned at one time, and they just have to stop and recognize that they can change their conditioning.
Huh. That was, whoever gave you that was the best they could do. And thank you for that. I'm going this way now.
Well, and how I think about it, and again, I don't know if it's true or not true. And I used to not think this, and I used to think it was stupid to think this way, but I use it as a mental frame. I go, I chose to live this life. How, why, what, I don't know. But we live in a kind of a closed system. It's a bang, we're all stardust, we're all connected, we're all quantum energy, we're all the same thing. I'm the same as the table and the trees and the grass and the animals and you. We're all connected at a level that we can't even begin to appreciate. So I go, I chose all this. The moment I make it a choice, you know what, this crap that's happening right now is the worst I've ever experienced. I chose to experience this because there's something important for me to learn, and I'm going to be better from it.
Mm.
Now, why do I think that way? Because when I was 25, I hated what had happened to me and I was upset. I was mad at everybody. I wanted to kill. I wanted to maim. I wanted to hurt the people who hurt me. Now I look back and go, that was the transforming moment of my life. It was the best thing that ever happened. And had that not happened, all of the other events that follow in that thread of dominoes would never have occurred.
Right.
So what I one time thought was horrible, I now realize is truly wonderful. And whether any of that's true or not, I don't know. But do you understand what I'm saying? It's how you perceive it. It's a frame of mind. And you can put on any frame of mind, like I could put on any frame of glasses or any hat or any pair of shoes. Try it on, and if it works for you, fantastic, use it. You don't have to believe it. It's not a gospel. I'm not, talking about that. But I tend to believe it because of the experience that I have from trying it on.
Yep.
So,
that's
I live with a lot of leeway.
That's awesome. And that's my goal. That's a lot. And I have that practice of waking up in the morning and saying, I love my life.
Awesome.
It's another thing we have in common. I don't do it every day though. And I realize that the days that my days go very differently on the days that I give myself the space to do that, even when the kids are, banging at me to get up and all of that. But if I just stop and breathe and love my life really and truly and feel that my whole day goes differently. So I love that you brought that up.
That's awesome. I want to address something that I think is important, and it's not because of what you said, but it's something that, well, people say, well, Rex, you're living the life of your dreams and everything's going great. You never have problems or issues or any of that kind of stuff, or you never wake up and want to crawl back under the covers. No, there are times like that, and it's surprising because sometimes but what used to happen for me was like what happened with cigarette smokers. People would smoke, they quit, and they're off for 6 months, and then they have a cigarette, and they go, see, I'm a smoker, and then they go right back to smoking. Instead of going, oh, I had a cigarette, now let's continue to be a non-smoker. You throw the baby in with the bath towel because of the one bad or negative or less than glorious experience that they have. So they discount all of the 6 months. So I wake up and I'm not feeling on top of my game. I feel like, whoa, or I have doubts about something. Well, all of us have doubts about things. And wherever we're faced with new opportunity and big plans, that's when that stuff starts coming up, the doubts and the fears. So if I start to catch that, I go, oh, wow, you know what? Something's looming on the horizon that's really incredible. And I'm nervous about it. Okay, cool. It's nervous. That's fine, and I try not to discount or go, oh, wow, this positive thinking stuff doesn't work because I'm feeling bad. Or I didn't get my goal, so law of attraction is BS. It's part of that process of mastery, and that every day we're in a process. We aren't complete. So some days we're up, some days we're down, just like the tide goes in and the tide goes out. Some days it's hot and some days it's cold. So it's learning to go with the natural rhythms. What happens when I'm not feeling glorious is that I then ask myself, is what I'm doing supporting me? Is this what I want? What I feel yucky now. And rather than going, oh, that sucks, so everything is now yucky, I go, okay, so I'm feeling yucky. What's going on? What am I thinking about that isn't positive? And what can I put and then I sometimes get caught up and then I go, screw it. I'm just going to go for a walk. I'm going to go out in nature. I'm going to go skip. I'm going to sing. I'm going to dance. I'm going to change my posture. I'm going to breathe differently. I'm going to go do some yoga and get a massage. I'm going to go swimming. I'm going to do whatever makes me feel good to feel my best, to get back into those higher vibrations and go, you know what? It's all going to work out. And I may not be feeling it right now, but it'll all work out for the best. And I don't know how, but I'm happy and I'm grateful. And I'll discover it as I go along. And then somehow, not necessarily instantaneously, somehow that creates that room that allows the other things to start happening, where that less than glorious feeling gives way to better feelings. So the goal is always to feel the best you can, but that doesn't mean being lit up like a sign. It means just incrementally be better than what you were. Move in the direction of that neon sign. But if you're feeling down, to try and be a neon sign might be too big of a jump. So just incrementally move. And then don't discount. Stop discounting all of the work you did before. If you don't have your $1 million and you've been, doing your law of attraction stuff, stop focusing on how you're not having it and celebrate what it feels like to have it. In other words, again, you got to change what you're doing. You got to become aware, not discount, not complain, whine, moan, excuse, and blame, and all that stuff, but get into the high vibes and celebrations and live from that place.
Mm-hmm.
And it may not happen overnight. It may take 10 years, it may take 2 days. Who knows what it's going to do? But I'm going to say this about money, because this is a huge one.
Mm-hmm.
And I know you're going to love this. I always thought it took hard work, took dedication, had to do all these things to be successful. And it does. But it doesn't. People get rich instantly. They win a lottery, and I'm not suggesting you win the lottery. A relative dies and leaves them a fortune. I'm not suggesting that happens. They find money in their wall. I never have. They find money in the laundry. They find quarters on the street, dollars. There's tons of different ways that money can and does instantaneously manifest in people's lives. I've had friends who'd find $100 bills. They'd find money everywhere. And I was like, I never find any money. I don't find money. I never win anything. I don't get anything. I won a tie once. The only thing I ever won was a tie. And my mom entered me in that thing, and I won a tie from a clothier. I don't win things, and I don't find money. And then I went, wow, that sucks. What if I thought, I find money everywhere? Mm-hmm. What if I'm like, I am so lucky money comes to me, it flows to me. It's energy, right? I can find it everywhere. And I look around and I look at the grass and the trees and go, there's so much of everything, and there's so much money. And you know what? I started finding money.
Really?
Yeah, I started finding money here. I found 20 there. First thing I did is I found like $40, and somebody said, you know what? That was somebody else's $40. And you know what it was? It was my $40 I had lost, and I found it. But I had counted it gone. Yeah. But I put it out like on the internet. I went, I found $40. And somebody went, oh, yeah. So somebody else was out $40. I'm like, no, it was my $40 I lost. But now I do. I find money in different ways. Money comes to me in multiple fashions. So, and that's what we all want to do is to attract it and also to work it, make it happen. Because it's not going to happen if you sit in your cave.
Right.
And go money. You might. I mean, don't discount that, but the likelihood is a lot less than if you go, you know what, I can make money. I'm fine. I have more than enough. I have always had more than enough money, even when I only had 2 nickels.
And that's wealth consciousness. That's abundant thinking. And that's part of what, this mindset thing is that I've been weaving through this whole series, is that it's the abundance of thought, that there is enough, that it's coming your way, like you said, whether it's tomorrow or 2 years or 10 years or whatever, and to be grateful for the to stop along the way and recognize where you've come. Because the day you decided to make $1 million and the day you decided you don't have it yet, you're still this far along in that journey. Absolutely. And I was a young actor in Hollywood, and somebody said, and we use this in the law of attraction. I've heard it ever since. But somebody said, well, imagine that, you're 18 now and you don't make it until you're 50. What are you going to do in the meantime? But at 50, it's guaranteed that you're successful. At 50, you will have everything you want. And you're 18 now. How are you going to live your life? Are you going to live like a pauper? Are you going to live, well, it's there, but I don't have it now, so now sucks? Or are you going to be thrilled that for sure it's coming? Mm-hmm. And then figure out how to live your life from being thrilled. Mm-hmm. As opposed to saying I have, over 27 years or whatever I just said to, 32 years to wait. I mean, because that would not be cool. Oh, I love that. Well, we are at our time. We are, like I said, I could talk to you all day. Well, and I could talk with you all day, and I appreciate it. Can I say one thing? Sure, absolutely. I know you have fabulous guests, and everybody should tune in and listen to all of your guests and everything. I also have classes and workshops that are coming up, and people can find out about that. But I have a free gift for people that I don't know. We don't have a link for it now, but when the link is up, it's in the email from Oh, okay, cool. I got it. Mm-hmm. All right, so they can click on that, and people should tune in and pay attention to you, because you're doing very, very, very important work here. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Yes. So, well, I appreciate your time and your generosity and just your attitude. I feel so energized just being around you and thinking about you. So I appreciate that. Oh, thank you. Yeah, definitely. And your generous gift. And so everybody else, this is The Gold Within You. And I love that. Yeah, I know. It's so good. Sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt you. No, that's okay. That's okay. That's how this goes. No, so I really just, everything Rex has said, the gold is within you. Keep it simple. Come back and let's discover more. And I want to hear about how it's going for you out there. So let us know what you've thought of today and how it's working for you and how much more you can do. And we'll see you next time. Bye. Thank you, Rex.
Thank you. Awesome.